was live before just now, but there was a Wi-Fi issue, so I restarted. Abunam Nogoha. Welcome to my Patrick English and all their connections. Let me redo what I was talking about. First, let me just make sure that we're doing well at this moment. My name is Shimuga, if you don't know. Welcome to the Quartier here. Okay. It seems like we're up. All right. What was I explaining when I was cut off before? Algol. I always say Algol. I was giving another translation for Algol. Algol. O-G-O. Coming out there in the divination, apparently it can be O-G-U, but the common spelling is O-G-O. If you look up in-law Igbo language and OGO Igbo language, you'll find it. Algol. What is an Algol metaphysically? Those people now translate as just in-laws. I would say it overlaps with the concept of in-laws because people often overdo the in-laws thing. What do I mean by that? People will often say, my wife's wife's tenth cousin's friends, my in-laws. No, that's too much. Okay, not everyone can be a family. But the most immediate connection that you can call an in-law is an Algol. For example, if you're married and your spouse has a father, everyone has a biological father, okay? But let's just assume this is not a crazy situation. Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of deadbeat dads out here. You've heard my talk about this, but let me just put that to the side. That's not the default in the universe. Our plan is a problem. So, your spouse is a biological father. That biological father is your Algol, your gunner, also your ego, also your overseer, and you are their gunner. What does that mean? One, you're supposed to oversee each other, so that you make sure everything's going well in that collective family you formed, in that collective bloodline you formed, and I'll add more to that in a second. Two, you are each other's gunner. What does that mean? When you're in trouble, you just go. When the other person's in trouble, you just go and you gun them. No questions asked. And then if anything went wrong, you gun on them later, as they do. Why were you in that position anyway? And that's because since there's a degree of separation between you two, right? As in you two are not in a romantic relationship, you can hold each other accountable in a different way, right? Because there's a limit to which you can do that in a romantic relationship. Not that you can't. There's some ways where you can do it better in a romantic relationship, but there's a certain capacity in which you can do it better outside. And then also because you're more distant, there's less feeling there. Not that there's no feelings, just less. So, I think I'll just sum it up for now by saying with that distance, there's a certain way in which you can oversee each other. Let me just say that. And then there's a certain way in which, this is what I'm trying to say. There's a certain way in which you can oversee each other, and there's a certain way in which you can help each other. Because one thing people don't realize is that if you're in a romantic relationship with someone, when they're in pain, you're in pain. So, for example, if a married person is in trouble, so is their spouse. So, all I'll say is this. The spouse should not be the only person trying to help them. Let me just say that. Okay. So there's that. Then, let me just do that. Just get some energy out. Then, if you're talking about the bloodline capacity, I want to clarify that point. Obviously, you and your in-law are not in the exact same bloodline. unless the relationship shouldn't exist. And when I say that, let me clarify: you're not in the exact same gene pool, okay? Because there's a gene pool of people who you should not have a romantic relationship with, and because of that, they should be your base, right? Because you just need a no romantic relationship zone. That's what that is. And then your family is all the people in that zone who you feel comfortable with that have not, wronged you beyond a certain point, right? So that's your innermost family, right? I mean, let's exclude people you're in a romantic relationship with for now. They are part of your family, particularly if A, you're married, and B, you have kids with them. They're part of your family. But I'm just gonna exclude them for now. Because again, one problem you're seeing here is in society today, we have not examined relationships well enough. So because of that, we don't have enough terms to describe different things. That can lead to confusion. And then when you're trying to describe things, you run into certain problems because there are a lot of very unintelligent people who will pounce on language and then go run and create a three-eyed baby. But anyway, that's not what I'm trying to promote. But anyway, let me just keep it simple. I'll keep it up here. This is not something I'll say just one time, but let me just say it up here. So anyway, you have your gene pool, right? Think about it. That basically will extend out to like your 40th cousin or something. You see what I mean? It's big, okay? Anyone on your family tree, gene pool, unless there was an adoption you didn't know about, okay? you get what I'm saying. So you got your gene pool. So you and your in-law, you and your gunner, you and your eagle are not in the same gene pool. So in that sense, they're not in your bloodline. But there's an outermost bloodline, which is composed of your bloodline within your gene pool, and then your in-laws, right? And that's because there's a blood tie there made by the relationship. And that blood tie isn't as strong as the ones between you and the gene pool, but it's there, right? So, and I'm speaking on this based on my own thought, but also talking to my ancestors. And again, it all, blends together. We are one, but we're still different. Just like you and your family are one, but you're still different, right? So, in that outermost bloodline sense, you're part of the bloodline. And then, in a third sense, in Kenya of the movement, you could just be part of the same tribe, right? So anyway, really, to describe these perfectly, we need charts. We probably also need powers. I think we should be more powerful. And also, we just need greater levels of intelligence, because at some point, when you're describing basic things and there's unintelligent people out there, they're just going to think you're signifying on them. No, I'm just trying to improve safety family in this world. Anyway, let's put up another short. Okay. So, anyway, I was just saying that to explain how I pray, because basically I start my patrilineage, because that's my energy lineage. And just to be short, I say Algol, because for example, my matrilineage, those are the Algol, those are the gunners, those are the eagles, those are the blood connection of my patrilineage, because they're not like in the same lineage, you see. I'm their unity. Anyway, and another thing to think about, every gene pool is centered on one individual, right? But if you want to, and that's important, but if you want to organize collectively on the basis of lineage and genes, you have to look at individual lineages, because there's too much of a habit in the world today of just saying, this is my family. You hear terms like my mother's side, my father's side, which is not appropriate, just because not everyone on your mother's and father's side is related, thankfully. So you just have to go down to the lineage. Okay, this is a patrilineage, this is a matrilineage, this is a patrilineage, this is a matrilineage. This is my patrilineage, this is my matrilineage, this is my mother's patrilineage, this is my father's matrilineage, so on and so forth. And then you keep going like that. And then sometimes you have to say, in certain contexts, this person is just a connection to my natural lineage in so many different degrees. Anyway, that's how you organize collectively. And then you look at other people, you go, okay, they're all part of a matrilineage, they're all part of a patrilineage, whatever. And of course, that's not the only means on which you have to organize, but it's crucial because if you don't look at blood ties, you're going to miss everything. Anyway. Anyway, I'm thinking about what's coming out today. I'm thinking a lot about blood ties. Call upon the black race in prayer. That's the other thing I said before I got cut off. Make sure you pray with your race. That doesn't mean you do not pray with other races, but do not leave your race alone when you pray. Let me say it another way. We're supposed to have many races, and they're all supposed to work together. But in order for the races to work together, everyone was making sure they do not leave their own race behind. And that's all I'll say. But part two of that, part of not leaving your race behind is after you've gathered them together, at least within yourself, you go out and you make a bloodline connection. Because, the races aren't supposed to just sit in themselves, yeah. Because also, if you get it down to it at a granular level, there are races within races, and all of us are the product of multiple races within races. Yes, multiple races. It goes on. Dogon. Abum dogon. Abum dogon. Abum dogon. Another thing you'll notice is I'm just saying certain things, even if they're not what most people say, just because I found that I can't really pray at my max without saying them. Like if I don't just say I'm Dogon, my lineage Dogon, my ancestors just look at me like this. I don't feel as much energy. So, obviously there should be discourse about things like that, because I know Dogon is not something that I was categorized in at the beginning of my life, unless someone did it without telling me. But, one, there's no reason that's impossible. Two, I'm just finding it effective. Anyway, I'm still going to shout out Akila too. That's another name. Because again, all these lineages have multiple names. Just like every person has multiple names. We just need to find them and we need to be given them. I'm going to be talking in the future about how we need to reform naming customs, but I'll just give you two things now. One, your given name is just your saved name. Your given name is just your saved name. You can also call it your saved name. What were you saved from? You were saved from being nameless. Very basic, but everyone has to be saved from being nameless. So you need to be given a name. But remember, that's just the starting point. You need to get more names. Two, I'll just say this. Do not obsess over changing your government name. Do not obsess over changing your government name. Your government name is not automatically your saved name. But if you change your government name, it causes confusion. There we go. My saved name is Chimoge. Chimaoge. My government name is Chimoge Chijoke Ibe. But I got additional names like Moge, Maogg. That is my favorite name I got so far. And well, I feel like it's me to a large extent. And then you got Nkoye, which is one I put out for music. Obviously, it's the name of this network. I forgot that for a second. How do I feel about the name Nkoye? I feel like it's cool as a concept. I just feel like it's an outer name for me. Because when I put it together, I was like, I got the answer to the math question. That's all I thought. But anyway, most specifically, Nkoye refers to Shango, and even though you can call all of the god of thunder Shango, you can call all of the good husband of people Shango. And then, obviously, that's integral to my being. My being is 100% the god of thunder. Because of the nature of Shango and that name, giving it to me specifically is a little not optimal, you see. So, basically, if that were to be my saved name, if I were to change my saved name to that, it wouldn't be the best scenario. But taking it as an outer name or having it in the mix, that's fine. Really, I just use it for this network and publishing music. Because when I was thinking of it for publishing music, I was just like, okay, most musicians don't use their government name, and they also don't use their given name. So I was like, okay, I should take that into account. At the same time, I don't like the degree to which people hide their government and saved names. And then I was also dealing with the fact that I don't like my name, but then fourth, I don't like a lot of the racism around naming, you see. So, and then I just had to recognize, okay, even though I don't like my name, it's still better than at least 99% of the names out there based on the, level of racism and other things going on with naming people. So I was thinking of all that. In the end, I said, you know what, let me just publish music under the name Incoria. Again, Inqual. I'll give two translations for that. If you look up Igbo market days, you see Inqual, that's the fourth one. It's associated with the wind. Apparently, it can be translated as the wind. That's what my ancestors told me, but that's not what that term means. In other words, people don't understand what the wind is. It's not just that stuff that blows you around, apparently. And based on my study of the Igbo market days, that concept, and looking at Inqual, I would conclude that it's deeper than just the wind as well. Like the idea we have of the wind. So I'm going to use that translation more just to give people a bit of a starting point, but I hesitate just because I don't want people to misunderstand, right? But anyway, there's Inqual. That thing's associated with justice, and also just, getting rid of bad stuff quickly, right? So that's one translation. Another translation is stunting on a bite and, which I'll go into later, but it can be fun, right? So there's that. Then there's Orie, the mixer. You can also call it the dreaded mixer. A lot of negatives associated with dreaded mixer, but one positive is creativity. So I thought, okay, I'm creative, but I also just go out and I get evil. Let's put that together in Korea. So I was like, all right, that makes sense. Even though I felt emotionally like it wasn't 100% there, but I was like, all right, that's a good one. Let's just use it for music. So I was just like, let me publish music under this name, but then, I was never going to be like, let me replace my name with Incoria. That didn't feel quite right. But anyway, I'm just going into that. Anyway, think about that more. That'll be incorporated into future content. Let me put up another highlight. Yes. I'm done. I don't think I'm done yet. Let's give out a mercy. Eat Brussels sprouts. Eat Brussels sprouts. I'm really big on that. I'm trying to eat them more. I like Brussels sprouts. I've always liked Brussels sprouts. Trying to eat them more. It's just a combination of really it's a cost thing, and then also the fact that, well, I'll just say a cost thing, but let me say this. For most people, it is very doable to eat Brussels sprouts at least some of the time. So I'm just going to leave that out there as a mercy. But I will say it's not, they're not hard to find. And I'm speaking about the U.S. here. Obviously, I don't know what goes on in every country. But they're not hard to find. It's just like, they're not in the easiest category to find. I'll say they're in the second one. And just because of where I am now, in order to optimize, I'm most targeting stuff that's in the easiest category to find. Like an example would be like $5 canned food. Another example might be like, stuff I can order from a restaurant that wouldn't cost more than maybe like $8, you see. So that's kind of the lowest tier for me. The next one would be where Brussels sprouts are, where maybe like, say I ordered it from a restaurant, it might be like $15, things like that. Yeah. One thing I'll recommend to anyone who owns a restaurant where you serve Brussels sprouts, pair it with another item. I've seen a lot of restaurants where the Brussels sprouts are just there by themselves. They're kind of expensive. I mean, I know. I'll just say that. I'll just say pair it with something else. For example, if you had a dish that is beef and Brussels sprouts, or like crab and Brussels sprouts, or maybe crab, Brussels sprouts, and like five other things, do that. Even if you don't stuff it with Brussels sprouts, if they're in there with the other stuff, that's a good mix. So that's a good cheap option for people. Because even though Brussels sprouts are good to eat, just like anything, if a dish consists only of that and it's kind of expensive, you know. And I'm thinking about it in terms of, someone who is really trying to be ordering food throughout the day, that kind of thing, or someone who really wants to be efficient with their money, you know, not someone who's just only gonna buy like one or two big meals a day. You see, anyway, that's just a recommendation. Alright. All right, thank you to y'all. I'm gonna go work on some other things now. See you very much. Please like and subscribe. Buy my art. Also listen to my music. See you next time.